Good evening, everybody, and welcome back once again. This is the Wisconsin Conservative Conversation Series here that we started up several months ago. And it's something that I'm actually very proud of because we've had a number of candidates on here. Just last week, we had Senator Pat Testin, we had Representative Robin Voss. In the past, we've had Adam Steen, we've had Eric Tooney. We've had Joan Beglinger. We've had a lot of folks coming up here, and I really appreciate their time here because the whole point of these conversations is to bring to you guys a natural conversation for these candidates that to show a human side, to see why it is that they're running more than just a 5 minute stump speech that you might hear at a rally or Lincoln dinner or anything else like that. So hopefully this guys will give you guys more perspective. Now, I also want to let you guys know we have a lot more people coming up here. As a matter of fact, tonight we're going to be joined by Dr. David King, and we'll be talking about that here in a minute. But tomorrow we're also going to have one of his primary opponents, Ben Vogel, who's running for lieutenant governor. Next week, May 3rd, 7 p.m., we'll be joined by Jonathan Wickman, who's also running for lieutenant governor. There's a theme going on here, if you guys notice, right? But then on May 4th, while I'm going back in time, May 4th, we're going to be bringing on here David Vernon, who's also running for, guess what, lieutenant governor. But May 5th, we're going to switch it up a little bit because we're going to have at 7 p.m. Karen Mueller, excuse me, getting names here kind of mixed up, but she's going to be joining us here, and she's running for the attorney general's race. So we're going to be speaking with her. And then, of course, the following Wednesday, the 11th, we'll be joined by Jacob Vandenpels. I believe I'm mispronouncing his name. I'm certain of it. He's a libertarian running for the 8th congressional seat there. So we're going to be having these conversations. So if you guys know any candidates that want to jump on board, that want to have these conversations, send them on my way. We'll contact them. And then, of course, we'll have the conversations as always. Now, tonight, we're going to be bringing on a guest right now here. And I want to go over this graphic of his. I don't have it queued up, but he's got a pretty impressive resume because when you look at it, he's been very active and involved in his community when it comes to helping people get employed. 20 years of service, 10 years as a business consultant and business coach. He'll explain the difference between the two. 20 years of pastoral service, 30 years of management experience. He's a gentleman here who just not too long ago, if I recall correctly, and I'm sure he'll correct me on this, finished up his doctoral in theology. And it is my pleasure, my honor to bring on to the show here tonight Dr. David D. King. How are you, sir?
I'm wonderful, sir. How are you? How are you?
I can't complain, man. I'm above ground.
Yes, and thank you for having me as well. I really appreciate it.
It's funny because I try to keep these shows here to roughly about an hour, but it's you and me. We could easily do like 3 hours just going back and forth.
Well, we have a track record of that.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing. In full disclosure, David and I have known each other a few years now, and if it seems like I'm giving him a little more pushback than like say anybody else, it's because we know each other like that. And don't be surprised if David gives me all the same pushback just the same. And so, well, let's kick this off here. You're running for lieutenant governor.
Yes.
So the big question, the question I love asking everybody, why? Why would you put yourself through this?
Well, I put myself through it because of the fact that it's much needed for the next generation. I'm not doing it just to be elected in an office. I'm not doing it to add something else to my resume or because I'm not busy. We're in a bad place. We are, and when I say that, we can turn it around, but we're in a place where we had nobody representing us and fighting for us. When you shut down the church and tell me that my God is not central, I got a problem. When you shut down my business to tell me my business is not central, I got a problem. When you allow a dog to go get groomed and that's central, or a liquor store open and that's central, and I know you like your bourbon, so I ain't talking about you, but when the things that matters most to me and then the children, the next generation, we needed true representation
Mhm.
in this race, and we need true leadership. Anybody can be a leader who want power, but true leadership whereas you empowering other people.
Right. Now, obviously, a lot of the way I think what you just kind of referred back to was during the whole COVID, especially going through 2020, which was, banner year for all kinds of goodness. Um, but when you look at, the whys of that particular race, why jump into the race of the lieutenant governor?
Well, if you go back, you will see that I was the first one to put my papers in to run for lieutenant governor.
Mhm.
Um, I did it because I needed to be that adapter. I needed to be that person that can help business owners, but also help the average family off the streets. I believe that for me, government has been disconnected from the people. And when you look at both parties, they're pushing genders, but it's not necessarily the average family agenda. So we needed to have somebody that can connect us back to government, and we also need somebody that can adapt with business owners as well. And when you look at everybody's resume, you know, over 24 years, almost 25 years, and doing both,
Mhm.
I can be that adapter. And one of the things that I used to always tell people is this: I'm there to compliment the governor. But if the governor doesn't do what they promised we the people that they was going to do, then I'm also there to get on the governor's nerve,
Right.
and say, do what you say you're going to do. And I think in order to get Tony Evers out of office, you don't need just a Superman governor. You need a governor that's Green Hornet, and I'm Cato. Okay, the lieutenant governor
That's
has
a
to
good
be,
reference, by the way. I like that. That's very old school. I appreciate that.
the Green Hornet has to be. I mean, the lieutenant governor got to be Cato. Cato got to
Right.
be able to carry something. Cato can't ride on coattails. Cato got to bring something to the table. If you're going to be Evers, you got to have a strong lieutenant governor candidate that the people can trust. That even if the governor goes down, the lieutenant governor can take the wheel and keep steering the state in the right direction.
Well, that's something I had talked with Pat Tesson about last week, and it's like, God, how do I say this without sounding morbid? Because you're one heartbeat away from being the governor.
Yes.
And I think that's why, the importance and the seriousness of this role as a lieutenant governor is really important. Now, I want to go back to something you had said, and I was hoping you could clarify this because I think there's a lot of people that are disenchanted with government as a whole. I think for those of us that study history, we see government as a necessary evil. It is government under a constitutional republic is to help ensure the rights, the individual rights and liberties of its people, not to dictate what you can, can't do, or anything else like that. So when you say that government is disconnected from the people, could you elaborate on that?
Well, government lost sight. Okay, they were supposed to be there to put, like you just said, to protect the rights of the people, and that's not what they're doing right now. Because before 2020, parents was losing their rights. Before 2020, before the COVID, okay, Common Core, for an example, government should have protected us from Common Core. They did not. They allowed that in our school system. Okay, um, they was really supposed to protect us from global warming, but they did not. They and what happened is, for example, when government start telling business owners what to do, I don't smoke, okay? I don't smoke. But if you're a business owner, you should have that right to say, I'm allow smoking or I'm not going to allow smoking. Government shouldn't dictate to you how you run your business. So when government starts to overreach, that's where I have a problem at.
Mhm.
When government start to do things um, for the dollar and not take care of the average family, that's when I got the problem. So they're disconnected. Um, just look at what happened in 2020. They shut the churches down. Nobody wants the church shut down in a time of a crisis. That's where they wanted to go get hope and prayer from.
Yep.
but they shut it down. Small business owners didn't want their business shut down. I think that if they would have gave all the information out and says this is what it is instead of trying to force and mandate, families and business owners could have made the decision up for themselves on how they wanted to run their business or their household. So
Right.
to me, government got too big, too messy, and they forgot the most important thing. They were sent there to represent the people, not themselves.
When I think it got kind of scary because when you look at what happened, especially during 2020, and I say this all the time. I get it. People were scared. You didn't necessarily know what to do. And I think it's kind of funny because when you think about go back to March, we were all kind of glued to our TV. We are watching to see what the CDC is recommending. And I think at that time, almost everybody trusted the CDC. And it was funny because as things kind of went on, it's like, wait a minute, this just is not adding up. And that's where even more trust starts to erode from government. And I think, part of the disconnect, as you're talking about, and this one really shouts out to me when you're talking about government telling business owners what they can and can't do. And I remember, if you remember several years ago when they banned smoking inside bars and restaurants. And I always thought that was kind of funny because they were saying, well, we're doing this for health reasons. It's a bar. Like I've never seen anybody go up there and order a Jack and Coke and a Stairmaster. Nobody's got a gimlet and some weights. I never saw that. And I spent more than my fair share in a bar. But the point is though, is I think, you're absolutely correct that there is a disconnect here, especially when you have certain people, especially unelected bureaucrats that are in this capacity where they can basically tell you you're essential, you're not essential. You need to do this by regulation versus why don't we have a referendum on this?
Well, when let's go back to, when you talked about the business owners, right?
Mhm.
I was in that fight. I was going around getting people to sign petitions to keep bar owners having not just bar owners but restaurant make a decision if they want to allow smoking or disallow smoking because I don't like injustice no matter what areas come from. So that's how long I've been fighting. I fought against when they was trying to do cap and trade, and thank God we in Wisconsin cap and trade didn't go through because if it would have, can you imagine where you live? You would have to call somebody in Florida, say, turn your heat up. And then they tell you you
Mhm.
use too much energy already. So we're not turning up your heat. So that's how long I've been in this fight because government been overreaching for a while now. It didn't just happen in 2020. It just knocked on more doors in 2020, and a lot of people decided to get up then.
Right.
But it been happening for a while.
When I think, you bring up something really interesting right there, where more people have kind of got up and gotten off the couch and done whatever as of late. Because I think there's a lot of us here, like I've been doing this podcast here, trying to work and, do my part in the conservative movement for God, 7, 8 years now. God, I'm old. You yourself, I know you were part of the original, Tea Party back in 2010. Is that not correct?
2008.
2008. Yes. Wow, my see, that's how old I am. But yeah, that's my point. So we've seen a lot of people, I think, as a result of what happened in 2020, kind of come to the forefront. And I know you've had something to say about that in the past. And, I'm going to let you kind of take to that here because I think while we want to see new blood, there's got to be a balance between new blood and I'm just coming in here and running roughshod. And like I said, I know we've talked about this in the past, and I know you got something to say on that.
Well, the first thing I want to say is privates can't tell captains what to do. Okay. And we got people that just getting into the fight and trying to tell us how to fight when we was trying to tell them in the beginning, there's a fight coming, you need to do something. And most of the people, and I hate to say it like this, but most of the people that are new to the fight are opportunists. They're not really in the fight for the fight, they're in the fight for what they can gain. And we see it all the time because it's no longer we the people. It's me, I. And that's a problem because of the fact that and you know me, I always use scriptures and stuff. So the Bible says,
Right.
the Bible says, don't be quick to lay hand on a novice. A novice is an unskilled person, right?
Hmm.
So for example, we see all of it. I mean, we seeing it all. You they get in a fight and they have a zeal for the fight, but they're not according to knowledge. Okay, they don't know how it goes. You know, um, they doing things right now and making you scratch your head when you're a veteran. It's like me going into the NBA telling Michael Jordan, I'm finna dog you out, right? And and first of all, I don't even know everything that goes on with the NBA, but I mean, I just know I can dribble and I can shoot.
Right.
But you gotta there's some things that you gotta learn. There's some things you gotta do. And 2 years ain't gonna do it. 2 years,
Hmm.
you're not gonna know everything in 2 years. And if we flip everything and everybody, and let's like you said, that balance. If everybody get elected in November and they all novice, the whole state representative are novice, the whole state senators are novice, and then you get a novice governor and a novice lieutenant governor. I'm moving to Florida.
Well, essentially, I think at that point you pretty much thrown out the baby with the bathwater, and you got rid of the experienced people that can help, kind of show the way.
Right. So we gotta you gotta have experience. And I always no matter what I done in life, I always was the one that says, I when I was running $1 million companies, I would tell my boss, I say, I'm here to take your job. I'm
Hmm.
going to do so good. I'm going to take your job. I said, but when I take your job, you're going to get promoted too. Because why? We're going to look so good because we got to come together as a team.
Right.
Trust me with what I'm about to do. You might get some phone calls, some complaints, but trust me. And they did, and they loved the outcome. So
Hmm.
you got to have somebody that is willing to take the chance on and do what's right. And so when you got a balance, you say, okay, and I'm not talking about balance where you got people that's been in office, because you can take, I mean, Donald Trump showed us what happens when you've never been in politics, but you've been in leadership.
Right.
So you can take it and take the ones that's in office and put them with somebody that has true leadership skills, and you'll get it. You'll get what you need done. I think that the problem is they want to clean house, and when you clean house and you ain't got no experience, the lobby is going to have a field day.
Yeah. Well, I think using your example of Donald Trump, I mean, yeah, he definitely came with leadership, but I think the learning curve there was as, the boss of Trump Industries and Trump, Trump World, whatever, the Trump universe, he basically would say something and boom, it was done. That's just how business works. Government was very different, I think, because he had to surround himself around the right people. And unfortunately, I think for the first 2 years, and even to some extent the last two, he kind of surrounded himself with some of the wrong people. Michael Bolton be amongst them, who's more of a war hawk than anything else. I mean, that I believe that was one of the incidents that almost got us into a scrap with Iran when they were about to do a drone strike there, and he called it off within like the last few minutes. Um, so I think it definitely helps to have people that can navigate the waters along with you, but they have to be on the same page.
Yes.
You often will hear an American First agenda, and I've heard several people say this, so I can't take credit for it. A Wisconsin First agenda is really what we need here in this state.
Yes. And we have to fix Wisconsin before we can even worry about the whole nation. We got to fix home. And you need people that have that true leadership experience and understand not only um, just being in that office, but you got to also understand business, and you got to also understand um, families. You got to understand a lot of different things.
Yeah.
You got to be versatile, right? And so what the problem is, you got 9 people running for lieutenant governor, and in that 9, the scary part about the 9 is, um, where's the leadership? Where is the one that's going to do think outside of the box to make sure that everybody is taken care of. Right now, like you and I heard it, if so and so don't win, we ain't voting. What kind of stuff is that? And the thing about it is, when you look at myself, and I take me, right? I'm a type of person that I don't play the bass drum. I play the snare. But while you playing the bass and I'm playing the snare, we're gonna make some good music together.
Hmm.
Because I know how to be a team player. I
Right.
grew up being a team player. I might not like every decision that the governor make, right? But I do know what I need to do, and I can get the governor to see you made a promise. This is what you need to do for the people. We need to work with both sides of the aisles to get done what's best for the people, what's best for parents, what's best in the medical world. We need to just come together and then I like to say we need to just get on some people's nerves to get done what needs to be done.
So when you say, think outside the box, I think a lot of us, I mean, it's almost that matrix type thing, with a little bald kids talking about, the trick is to realize there is no spoon as he's sitting around bending spoons. Um, I think a lot of us we get it, you have to be the box doesn't exist. Everything's, in play. But when you say something like, to make sure that everyone's taken care of, is that necessarily the role of government? And I ask that question through the lens of, people's what they see as a legislative or leadership philosophy. Is that the role of government to make sure that people are taken care of?
Well, when I say the people are taken care of, first of all, give the parents back their rights. First of all, give them back their rights. Let the parents make the decision for their household. Let government roll back. See, because we government done got too big. All right, so we need to allow families to make those decisions for themselves. So what do we need to do? We need to get out the family's way. Give them what they need, and what they need is their rights back. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying a
Right.
new program or anything like that. Let's pull back. Matter of fact, let's look at what's really going on and let's start solving some problems. You got
Mhm.
a lot of mothers, right, that wants to get off the system. So
Yes.
they go get a job and they start working the job. And if they make $1 more than what the system says, they get punished. And they can't get food stamps, they can't get child care. So they got a choice to make. Stay down and stay in the system or struggle trying to figure out who's gonna watch the kids while they go and better their lives. Well, you got another set that just lay around, and that not only do they get child care, but they get extra food stamps. So why not set the system up where if you are trying to get off the system, then we're not going to punish you. We're going to work with you, and we're going to start to eliminate small amounts until you are able
Gradually.
to stand on your own. Okay? That means we're going to reward you. We're going to help you until we know that you can do it on your own. Whereas, nope, stay lazy and we just going to take care of you. No, we need to stop punishing parents that's trying to get off the system. And that's what we got right now. You got husband and wives that need help right now, and the system is saying we won't help you unless y'all get a divorce or legally separated. These are the things that's making government bigger. So
Yeah.
if we stop all of that and start to say, okay, let's deal with the problem. Let's Let's find out why people is not going back to work. Some is not going to work because they can't read, they can't do math. So, okay, let's set it up where if they swallow their pride and they want to come get the help to learn how to read and learn how to do math, we're going to be right there with them. And then let's connect them with a job so they
Right.
can go in there. I mean, there's ways that it can be done, right? I I give you an example. When I'm with my organization and helping people get jobs, I had a company that they needed people to be able to read blueprints because they was making envelopes. They had to weigh them. I mean, they had to measure them and everything, right? Everybody couldn't do that. So guess what I did? I brought in somebody to teach a blueprint writing class, right? And they came in and they taught them how to read the blueprints, and they was able to get the job. So what we have to do is find out Where is it that is hindering them? And let's fix that, because guess what? More people we get back to work, more taxes is being made. I mean, being paid, right?
Yeah.
And then now we can shrink the government because we don't need those agencies anymore because we got these people going back to work.
Well, and you definitely gave a lot to go over there because as you're talking about that, one of the things that comes to mind for me is the overall destruction, the assault on the nuclear family. The very idea that you can't, if you're a single mother, and you have two, three, four, five, six kids, you can't have a father in the home. Because you have a father in the home, you can lose your benefits. And it's interesting how people look at that as benefits, like if somehow people have earned that, but yet it's created a system of dependency, which I think has also in turn helped to destroy the nuclear family, especially within the inner city, especially for minority communities. We're starting to see it more so in even white communities, and it does a lot to kill people's their sense of self-worth, their sense of drive. It's almost like, at the risk of sounding like I'm going down a rabbit hole, it's almost like it's almost intentional.
Yes. And it is intentional. You know, can I see a comment. Can I address that comment for a second?
You can address anything you want, sir. Normally during these episodes, I don't really go through the comments or anything, but you know what?
But
If
this,
you want to address a comment, I ain't gonna stop you.
okay, so the comment says working on the other side doesn't work. How many Democrats support Act 10, voter ID, etc., and it is wishful thinking? First of all, let me say this: there are blacks in Democrats in the city of Milwaukee was happy when Act 10 took place. There's those that with voter IDs. As a black person, we know we gotta have an ID. So it's not that everybody. And when Acts 10, what people is don't know because they haven't been out there is when Acts 10 happened and the Democrats was or the union was doing all that mess at the Capitol. Most of those people was flew in from other states. That wasn't people in the, from Democrats from the inner city. Those were most of those people was from out of state that came in and was putting tents up in
Yeah.
Madison and all of that. Those was all of those people. A lot of those people came in town. So we can work with anybody that want better. There's a lot of Democrats want better. There's a lot of Republicans want better. And the problem is that what we do is we keep dividing and not presenting a solution, because it's not just Republicans that you got to get a divorce if you want help from the system. There's Democrats that got to get a divorce if they want help from the system. It's not about a Republican mother who try to go get a job and get better for the family and they get punished. It's the Democrats' families too. So when we say stuff like that, we got to at least go do the homework.
Let
To
me let me interject here because I think I know what she means by that. Because I think to your point, when you're talking about the average person who might be Democrat, the average person who might be Republican, I think you're absolutely 100% right. Uh, to the comment though, how do you work with somebody across the aisle, a Democrat lawmaker, a liberal lawmaker, that is not really interested in working with you? And unfortunately, over the last going on now 6 years, I'd go seven, the left has really lost their minds, and it's if you have a good idea, they're going to reject it because it's not coming from them, it's coming from a Republican. And if they gave the same idea, now it's the greatest thing in the world. How do you
well,
work with somebody who, number one, doesn't really have any interest in working with you, and number two, if you were on fire, they wouldn't do anything to put you out?
right. Well, that all depends, because I'll give you an example. Jason Fields, okay, Democrat. Um, he's a financial whiz, right? He brought financial literacy in its inner city of Milwaukee, right? Worked on both sides of the aisle. Worked with Republicans, got legislative passed everything. You know, all we have to do is willing to. And if we be honest, a lot of Democrats and Republicans, they go eat every other day together. They hang out together. They may not push
Sure.
the same issue, but they're doing stuff together. We just got to find somebody who's not trying to be. And there is some that knowing if I do the right thing, I'm not going to be a career politician, right? And the thing that we have to ask ourselves is, do we want to be career politicians or do we want to be problem solvers? Because if you become a problem solver, you're not going to be there long. So let's fix what we can while we're there, instead of trying to be a career politician, pointing the finger and blaming each other, and nothing get done. Do you know I had conversations with young people and they don't even want to have children?
Yeah, I heard about that. And it's get to your point because I got something on that too.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, if we there, I'm saying we can work with anybody if the issue is the right issue. And my thing is this: we would never know until, for example, you heard the liberals in Milwaukee hollering to fund the police, right?
Yes.
Now what they holler, we need more police, but you defunded them.
Well, and that's kind of an interesting conundrum because if you look at what happened over the last 2 years, what did they do? They demonized police so much that law enforcement started retiring in droves. They started taking early outs. They ended up quitting. They went to other cities. And what do you have left? You literally have, you know, what's the best way of putting it? You essentially have the people that are okay with being told to do whatever. The cop that went ahead and defended the Black Lives Matter mural that was on the street in New York. Yeah, I would refer to that as a jackboot thug because you know what? The mayor didn't New York in New York here. He didn't get a permit. He didn't get the, go through the right resources to get the paint, but they just went ahead and did it anyway. Why? Because the mayor said so. Cops that enforce that type of thing, or the cops that were shutting down businesses, I have a problem with that. And I,
Right.
and I think it's one thing to be pro police, and 99% of law enforcement I don't have a problem with. As a matter of fact, I got pulled over the other day. No problem with the state trooper. Awesome guy. We actually talked it up for quite a bit. But if you're shutting down businesses, you're shutting down churches in violation of constitutional rights, I have a problem with that.
And I tried to get in trouble. and I
I saw that.
I mean, I tried. That's why I left my church open. I kept doing live, let them know we open, took it to the state capitol, wasn't even trying to find them to see if we can have a permit or anything. Matter of fact, the state capitol police was like, we glad y'all here. You
Mhm.
know, so my thing is, I got a problem when anybody doesn't stand up. Republicans say they're the party of God, but did they stand up and say, don't close your church? No. So if you're not going to fight, that's my problem. We got to fight. We can't be nice. We cannot be the party of nice and we getting our head busted. No, we have to be able to be standing up for what we believe in, totally what we believe in, doing exactly what we say we believe in, and talk the talk, walk the walk. Don't tell me what we're about, and then you allow them to say God is not essential. And I know you're not a religious person, but I mean, I'm
Right.
just saying for me,
Oh no.
you telling me that we're the party of God, we're the party of freedom, but you don't stand up for our freedom. I got a problem with us doing that.
I remember Nancy Pelosi said God was on her side too. And
Yeah, I know.
that was
but
like one
she
of the more cringe moments on
but
TV.
she
And I was
never
like,
said which God.
I was gonna say, yeah, did she which one are you talking about? Buddha, Ra. What are we talking? Did you make your own up? What are we doing here?
Right.
Um, I want to get to this one because I think this is a really, really big topic because I'm gonna ask this in two different ways. The
Uh-oh.
first, Elon Musk and Elon Musk is all in the news, obviously, right now because of his acquisition of Twitter, which outstanding. Daddy's back on Twitter here. But a few months ago, he had put a tweet out that says, we're not having enough kids. And the reason we want to have kids is because at a certain point, the people that are retiring, they're going to be relying on Social Security. There's not going to be enough young people that are actually working that are going to be able to support that. So the system's going to crumble. And we'll get into the economics later on, but and as you know, economics is probably one of my biggest key issues. But when we look at that, the fact that a lot of young people aren't having kids, or if they are having kids, it's much later in life, and there's this failure to thrive. I think part of that came from Obamacare because kids didn't necessarily have to get insurance until they were 26 as a result of the Affordable Care Act, and a lot of these kids are very immature. And unfortunately, when you talk about 25, 26, 27-year old, you almost look at them like if they're kids because they're still 18. They have no business having kids because they can barely take care of themselves. Now you talk to a couple young folks, and they're telling you the same thing that yeah, I just don't want to bring kids into this world. There's a number of things we can attribute to it. What are your thoughts on what the causation was, and what's the solution?
Well, the thing that most of them was talking about is the direction that we're going right now, and they don't want to bring in a child where that child is going to be confused from the moment unless everybody right now can't homeschool. So now you got to send your child to a school that's definitely going to be confused. I think if we fix the education system, I think a lot of them feel a lot more comfortable bringing children into the world. I think if we can get rid of all this hatred that's going on because you're black, because you're white, these
You're
young people,
black.
huh?
You're black.
No, man, I'm an American,
Oh,
man.
there we go. There it
Yeah,
is.
I'm an American. But the thing about it is, this is all the stuff that they putting up with, right?
Yeah.
Economics, like you said, uh, that's scary right now, and no, and we really not addressing how to get it jump started, right?
Mhm.
So they're looking at economics. They go to school for 4 years and they ain't got no job when they come out, right? So they gotta either go to McDonald's or try to pick up a second major, and hopefully they can get in, into the field that they really want to get into. You got people that desire to be teachers, but look at the mess that's in schools that they don't want to go into that. So
Right.
I think that if we start to reset that moral compass and do things the right way, and make sure that uh, they can see something brighter, because when we what we're offering right now is a bunch of confusion and hatred and
Mhm.
anger right now. So why would I want to bring a child into something like that? You're going if they go into the schools. I'll give you an example. The University of Lacrosse. You know what they did? You know what they did?
Try me.
Okay, they told the students that you're going to be broke. You're going to always be broke. You're going to be paying your
Your
student
student
loans,
loans forever.
and,
Yeah.
you're going to be broke. But we got a field you can go in, and guess who they had the guest speaker was?
Who's that?
A porn star.
Oh. Oh, okay. You know what? Well, you know what? OnlyFans, yo. I guess. I mean, if Cash Me Outside Girl can make $1 million in one day, I mean,
Right,
why
but I
not,
mean,
right?
but to go into a school and say, and then the dean of the school say, "How did that get past us?" Come on, you
Right.
know how they got past you, you know. So
But go
go
ahead,
ahead,
go ahead, please.
go ahead.
I think this brings up a bigger point here. Because if you look at what, and I've noticed a lot of people have conflated a lot of things, and I know, Dr. Duke Pesta can certainly speak to this, but I think there's a lot of people that conflate Common Core with CRT. Common Core was basically the baby of no child left behind, and CRT's been in the college institutions for quite some time, only gotten prominence due to the 1619 project. And it's interesting that they would say that and do these type of things. Meanwhile, still wanting you, hey man, you're gonna be strapped with student loan debt forever. But you know what? Just stay in school. but you can get yourself an OnlyFans account. How about that? And I think it's kind of ridiculous because if you pay attention to how schools are today, especially your primary schools, your K through 12, a lot of it's antiquated. It's designed to create drones, worker bees. Don't question, do. Bell rings, go from A to B. Ask to use the restroom. You take a test. There's only one right answer. Well, we know in the real world, there's not just one right answer. Sometimes there's several, and you don't work alone. You collaborate. And I think when we look at today's merging economy, everything is so it's quick. Like there's nothing that if you want to learn something, there's nothing you can't learn on YouTube. There's
Right.
nothing you can't learn on Udemy. Micro certifications. I mean, Google, Tesla, MIT, they have a bunch of them, and some of them are free. And it's almost like, why would you want to send your kid off to school and straddle them with all that debt, put them behind the eight ball right as they're starting their lives, when you could do something like, I don't know, micro certification for coding? Or maybe you could even do something like a trade, like welding, because they get paid right. Get paid good right out the gate.
And I think, excuse me, that flow, that how should I say that structure that we all got when we was coming up, right?
Yeah,
You was taught, go to school from K5 to 12, then you're gonna go to college, then you're gonna get married, then you're gonna have a family, then you're gonna get this house with this white picket fence.
I'm going to
And,
build one of those around my house. By the way, just
you
so I can
know,
prove a point.
and then you go, but you got to remember now, you go and you work for a company and then you retire and get a gold watch. Those days are over.
Yeah,
Those days are over. Now it's about, okay, um, what do we do now? First of all, you gotta know yourself. First of all,
hmm
am I a college student? Am I
yeah,
a college student? If I'm not a college student, then I got to look at something else, right? Entrepreneur, right?
right.
I remember when I worked with drug dealers on the streets, right? I go up to a guy and I said, "Man, okay, you made enough money. Why don't you start a business right now?" He was like, "Man, a business? I don't know nothing about business." I say, "Bro, wait, hold on. You buy
That's all you know
product,
is business.
you packages your product, you market your product, then you hire people. That's a business."
I was taking it a step further though. If you're a drug dealer, you got to think about, and like this is such a poor example, but it's facts. If I'm selling this can of Coke, right?
Right,
I can do it online, on the radio, on television. Oh boy, over there, he's selling something that's illicit. He has no marketing budget. He's got no flyers. He's got to rely on just word of mouth.
right.
It's kind of like a strong hustle there. I mean, I'm not condoning
But
this,
but
but I'm
what
just recognizing business for business.
Right. So what I told him was, I said, go into the traveling business. I said, you young, you can get out the game. You young, you can join a traveling comp. There's a lot of network marketings where you can travel and book flights and all of that. I say the
Mhm.
benefit of that is you get to go for little or nothing because they know you're going to advertise them. So you're going
Yeah,
to get the best hotels. You can go on the best cruise because they know that you're going to lead them and market them. I said, this is legit business. You can have your own. Well, I'm a felon. So what? You still can have your own. So what we have to do is change the mindset of everybody going to college, which we already know not.
right.
To me, the best people to go to college without the debts are the veteran children.
hmm
Why? Because they get to go to college free,
Right.
right? So if my dad is a veteran, college is free. I can go free, get free education. So if I wanted to go to college, then there's some that they kids went to college and came out debt free. Why? Because they took up it's going to take some time, but they went and they researched and they found all the grants, not the
Right.
loans, but they found all the grants. But everybody doesn't have that information.
Well, it's interesting because if you go to any college financial aid office, and I used to be a college admissions advisor, a lot of them have books and resources to send it out to. I have personally found that it is an individual's lack of wanting to actually, I don't know, write out an essay, do the research. And it's like, man, if you only just applied yourself, that's all you had to do. This is the beginning of you. $7 trillion crosses hands on this planet every single day. 7 trillion. All you got to do is reach up and grab a bag. That's all you got to do.
Yes.
And
And you know
sometimes
what?
before you reach up and grab that bag, you got to do your research first.
Right. And that's why I'm learning golf. Because
Oh,
and because billions of dollars are transferred on the golf course.
yes.
And so even though I suck, but guess what? I'm gonna be on that golf course. You know, like you say, you got to do your research. You got to understand things. You got to be more like me. I ride around. I listen to motivational speakers
Yes,
all the
sir.
time. You know, making sure I keep my mind focused. Right. I teach the young people. I say, how many of y'all got goals? And they raise their hand. I said, is it on paper? And they say yes. I say, now let me ask you a question. The people that you around, how many can help you get to that goal? And if they can't, then why are you around them?
Hmm.
You
What,
know?
what's the philosophy? If you take a look at the four people closest to you, you're
Hmm.
number five. So if
Right.
you're hanging around four broke folks, you're the fifth broke one. It's facts.
It's facts. And that's why, and that's why I tell people two things about me. I'm authentic and I'm a man of character.
In speaking character, and I want to shift to this here because we want to try to keep it within an hour. I told you guys, David and I could probably do this in easy 3 hours. Easy. But I'm going to try to keep this to an hour just for the sake
Hour and a
of
half, hour and a half.
consistency. See, I'm trying to keep consistency on this here. That's why I have the other podcast, the Caramel Conservative podcast. We can do a full three there. But you're talking about character. And I think part of character is also developing your faith. And obviously, you're a doctor of theology, correct?
Yes.
As a doctor of theology, and you have your church, and what? Tell us about the role of your faith in what it is that you do, because I think a lot of people that means something.
Well, for me, it does. It has everything to do with it. And the reason it has everything to do with it is because the God that I serve is a consistent God. Okay. And so for me, I I live my life according to the word. And as ever since you know me, I quote scriptures, everything I
That's
do.
true.
So my wife never have to worry about me cheating on her, not just because I love her, but because who I belong to, who I say I'm representing. Okay. So she don't have to worry about me ever cheating on her. Because why? In my principles, it says thou shalt not commit adultery. Okay. In my principles, it says thou shalt love thy neighbor. In my principles, it says let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. Anything else is evil. So if I'm gonna say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. If I say I'm not gonna do something, I'm not gonna do it. So my character is built off the principles of God. I have to walk like that in everything. When I do a business transaction, whatever, I still gotta walk in that. I gotta be that man that I claim to be in front of not only my family, but people in this city, people across the state, people in the congregation. I can't tell them to do one thing and I'm doing something different. It's like, then I'll be like, remember when we was kids and the phone ring and your mama say, tell them I'm not home?
Yeah.
And then they tell you, don't lie to me, right?
It's like who's at the door? It's Jehovah's Witness. Ain't nobody home. It's like, but I just got in trouble for lying. What?
I know.
You do what I'm
So
telling you. That's all you got to do.
yeah, so for me, my character, and I realized this a while ago, and I teach people this, and I say your life is like a grenade. So when you go off, you affect everything around you. And so, and so I make sure that whatever I do, I do it only to make sure I can help. individual, and my life is my testimony. My life is my preaching the Bible. My life is not just me walking around with the Bible and saying, but my life, everything that I do, I line it up with the Word of God. I line it up to make sure. So going into office, it's the same thing. If I say I'm going to be there to represent the people, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Hmm.
If I say I'm going to help the governor and compliment the governor, that's what I'm going to do. If I say the governor not doing what they said, promise the people, and I'm going to agitate them and get on their nerve, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not going to try. We're in a state of emergency. I'm not going there to make a career out of this. I'm going there to help plug up some of the holes where we're leaking at in our freedom, our education system, our economy. And then once that's done, I'm praying that God send a Joshua that can take it to the next level, and I can go.
Right.
I'm not trying to stay there.
Now, let me ask this here because I think this is, to me, this is a very important part because when I look at everything that's, everyone running in the Republican primaries right now, you've got assemblymen, you've got senators, you've got, obviously everyone in the executive ticket. One of the biggest things that I'm hoping to see here is, along with this, red wave, if you will, is creating a seawall for the state of Wisconsin to protect against an overreaching federal government. Because we've seen this happen too many times. Take a look at what happened during COVID. You know, people started making executive orders. Biden was doing the same thing. The CDC was doing that, and then of course it trickled on down to state and county, and everyone's just kind of lockstep here. You got the economy, and ever since the CARES Act came out, we just kept printing money like it's monopoly money. And before you know it, it will be monopoly money because we're dealing with inflation that's just, I don't think any of us have ever seen anything quite like this. You got eggs right now at $3, $3 a dozen, depending on where you go. How do we, or how would you work with that to try to create that seawall, if said seawall if it's even possible?
Well, one of the things that I always tell people is this, and I started this way, right? My favorite football team, Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Since 1969. Mike Tomlin has two phrases he used. The first one is, we don't want no hostage. We only want volunteers. And the second one is next man up. So if I was the second string quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, then I would be thinking like I'm the first string quarterback. I'll be practicing like I'm the first string quarterback. I'll be watching films like I'm the first string quarterback, right? I take care of my body like I'm the first string quarterback. Why? Because if the first string go down, then I'm in. I can't be twirling my thumbs once I'm in the game, right?
Right.
So me as lieutenant governor, I'm not thinking as lieutenant governor. I'm thinking as governor, right? So I'm thinking that, okay, how do we get this going, right? So the first thing I would do is pull out the 10th Amendment, tell Joe Biden and the federal government, kiss our grits. We ain't playing that game, right? The second thing I'll be doing, okay, how do we make Wisconsin self-sufficient, right?
Yeah.
How do we take the farmers and get their product into, whether it's inner city, corner stores, or whatever, to push the economy? One of the things that I loved in the 70s was the Black community was economically strong. And the reason they worked outside the community, but they spent their money in the community.
Right.
So if we spend our money in Wisconsin, we can get the economy rolling. If we get the people to go back to work, we can get the economy going in the direction it needs to go into. If we need to help give a hand up to small business owners, because you and I both know small business owner is the backbone of our country.
Backbone. Yep.
So if we do what we got to do to get those small business owners back on their track to get a jump start. And one thing about me is this, being a business coach and a consultant, I know how to look at your vision and take it to the next level.
Yeah.
Okay. And so so as governor, because if the governor go down, I'm up. So now I need to know what to do. How do I work with not only the farmers, but how do I work with every mayor in the state of Wisconsin to help them get to where they need to be? Okay, what kind of help you need, right? So if they say, well, we need funding, okay, what are you doing with what you got? Okay, maybe y'all mismanaging it because now the CEO of me is coming out, right?
Right.
So now I'm looking at it because when I'm governor, I'm the CEO. So I need to know what every department doing. I need to know where the money's going. If we're spending too much money, if they hiding money, because when you run $1 million companies, you know some of the stuff that they do, right? Like kick
It,
the can. You know,
right.
you kick the can. I remember they used to tell us blow your labor, and I'd be sitting there like, what? Blow labor, and then when we blow labor for the next year, we get a bigger labor budget,
Yeah,
right?
it's that idea that if you don't use it, you lose it, and if you don't use all of your budget, be it hours, dollars, whatever, if you don't use it, that means your budget's going to get decreased. If you use it and then some, that's a case to increase your budget.
Exactly. So knowing that because I've been there, I know how to manage, right? And I know how to get stuff done per department. And if that money, for example, you got all these departments and you got that money just sitting there, and you know what they do at the end? They throw parties, they throw meetings,
Hmm.
they have all this food. So now guess what? We grab all that money that they was wasted and give that money to small business owners to get jump start. And
Right.
and I'm not saying giving it to all the chambers of commerce because they only give it to the good old boys. No, I'm talking about going to actually making sure business owners get what they need, not more than they need, but
Right.
get what they need to get back going so we can get the economy going. So as governor, that's how I'm thinking. How do we? I know economics. I love numbers. So how
Right.
do we get that going? By assisting all small business owners, right? And then not only just small business owners, we should have something very special for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Because if we can get you to start a business, you know, now we got more. And then the companies that are forcing people not to come back to work until they do these shots and mandates, then we guess what we'll do? We'll deal with them where either they drop it or leave the state, and we'll
Right.
welcome other companies in that don't want to do no mandates so people can go back and feed their families. Because like you saying, if there's a gap, if there's a gap in people not working, Social Security is going to run out because there's
Right.
a gap where nobody's feeding into it.
Right. Yeah.
So,
And it, oh, go
huh?
ahead, please. Go
No.
ahead.
So what I'm saying is, that's how I'm thinking. I'm not thinking as Lieutenant Governor look good, even though I'm 6'4" and sexy. I'm not trying to just look good. I'm thinking on how do we turn this around. I don't
Right.
like I said. I don't want to. I don't really want to see a red wave. I want to see we the people wave. And what I'm talking when I say we the people wave, I'm not talking about the people that just tripping. I'm talking about we the people wave that families get their rights back, small business owners get
Right.
their rights back. For me, that's the we the people.
Hmm.
Medical get right back, and we can welcome those nurses and those doctors back into the
Yeah.
building. Even if here's the thing that even in my head, if we can't get the hospitals to act right, then why not set up a hospital that's going to deal with both medical and holistic, right? Because you got a lot of the doctors that a lot of people want to use herbs and things and they work.
Yeah.
Holistic doctors, they show you it works. So why not have one of those? Why not have where you got both that families can choose for themselves, right?
Right. The choice between modern medicine, as it were, and was it homeopathic medicines and other holistic, medicinal cures.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the areas where it gets a little sketchy because some people are like, well, the FDA doesn't necessarily approve that. I'm not a
Well,
doctor and I don't play one on TV, so I got nothing on that.
but you got to understand the FDA didn't approve your grandmama them going in the backyard getting them dandelions and all that other stuff,
That's kind
boiling
of
it and
true.
making you drink it, and people was getting healed. So it's. I think that what we have to do is we got to be a bold state, a
Yeah.
state that is willing to do whatever it takes to be successful, whatever it takes to be safe again, whatever it takes to change the education system, a state that is willing to promote small business owners, promotes family farms
Hmm.
over big farms. I mean, we got to be that bold. And sometimes, you know, People say, well, how that's going to happen? The reason a lot of people don't want to, how should I say, grasp this, because they never stepped outside of their
Yeah.
norm. And that's why I say what I say.
Well, and I think that's actually one of the hardest things for people to do is to kind of step out their comfort zone, step out of their sphere of influence. Now you're delving into unknown territory, and that can be some scary areas, because now your worldview and your paradigm is being challenged by other ideas that may either confirm yours or challenge it, where you actually have to learn something and then accept that as a new reality. So all right, we're hitting up in an hour, and I want to try to keep it to an hour because you ought to see the list of notes that I have here on any given day. I mean, it's like there's so much we could go into, but like I said, I want to try to keep it to an hour for consistency's sake for this
Okay, so I tell you
podcast.
what I do.
But
You keep your word. Then we shut down on yours, and then I start my show. And
you will start yours. See, and I'm trying to get like some other stuff done tonight too, and it's like, oh man, I don't know. Yesterday, again, I was trying to get some things done, because brother Elon over there decided he was going to buy himself all of Twitter, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna transfer some things, post some things up, and all of a sudden, Justin Schmidtka from Badger State Resistance, they do a live stream, like, oh, why don't you come on? All right, guys, I'll come on. All right, cool. So we're on there for like 2 hours, and it's yeah, it's fun. But listen, I want to give you, and I'm gonna pick this number on purpose. I'm gonna give you the last 90 seconds. Give us your elevator pitch.
oh, you wrong. I know why you
You
did
know why I
that.
did that, right? Yes. I'm gonna give you the last 90 seconds to give us your elevator pitch. Talk about, you got 9 people running in the lieutenant governor's race. I've had a chance to meet all 9 of you guys. All 9 of you guys are outstanding gentlemen. I really, really appreciate you guys' time. Every time I get a chance to talk to you guys, I think you guys are wonderful people. But, kind of like Highlander, there can be only one. So I'm gonna dip off on the screen here. We're still gonna be on, but then I'm gonna give you 90 seconds for it, brother. Go for it.
All right. What stands me out from all 8 other candidates is my experience in leadership, my experience in business, and managing $1 million companies, becoming a business owner, becoming a business coach and a consultant, my experience as a pastor, my experience as a community leader working in the community. We need somebody that's going to be able to be that adapter that can work with business owners, but also work with the community, average family. But we also need somebody that is ready to take the helm and make Milwaukee better. Not just Milwaukee, but the state of Wisconsin better. We need somebody that can take the bold way and not the normal way. The Wright brothers took the bold way when they started to fly. I think it's time for us to have people in office that's willing to really fight, not talk about a fight, not give excuses, but really go in and change the things for the better, for families, for business owners, for farmers, for medical freedom. I mean, we need somebody that's going to just stand up and do what's right for we the people. I'm not looking for a red wave. I'm looking for a we the people wave, because we all need to come together and be successful in the things that's going on. And this election, I'm not running to be elected. I am running to save the next generation, because that's what it's all about. It's about the next generation. It's about your children, your grandchildren, and your great grandchildren. So if you want somebody that's going to fight, if you want true leadership, then I'm the one. If you want somebody that's just going to give excuses, then I am not the one. And I'm not in this race so you can like me, but I am in this race that you trust me, that I do exactly what I say I'm going to do. I'm a man of character, and I am a man of my word.
You went over 90 seconds, right?
Well, I was waiting on you to
I
pop
know.
that in.
No, I wasn't gonna. I wasn't gonna cut it. It's funny because every time, I'm like, all right, we got 9. You do 1 minute, do 90 seconds, whatever. And of course, I always expect people to go over. And it's like, are you gonna cut them off? No, I'm not gonna cut anybody off. Why would I do that?
See,
Like
you're nicer than I am because I would cut off. No, I
I
wouldn't.
don't. Well,
No, I
on the
wouldn't.
other podcast, I would, but not this one. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I do try to keep that. But David, I really, really appreciate your time again. I value your time. I value your friendship, all the conversations we've had over the years, and I look forward to even more. And I want to wish you nothing but luck here in your campaign. Like I said, you got 9 great people out there, and I want to thank you for your time here. And of course, you do have your show too, Wisconsin it's a Conservative Rally, right?
Yeah.
Revival.
Wisconsin Revival Rally Show. Yes, sir.
There, see, I had it all mixed up here.
Yeah.
So what happens when you wake up at 5 a.m.
Tell me
But
about it.
I was up early, too early. I went to bed too late. Long story. But that being said, David, I really appreciate your time. If you want to get back on here again, let me know. We'll set it up.
All right. So are you going to cross over now and come on the Wisconsin Revival Rally Show?
I got to do some uploading, but I'll probably pop on there. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if you ain't coming right on, then I'm not going to do the show. I mean,
Well, I got to upload this to, to all the other podcast platforms. I got to, get the message out there for everybody.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. I might do a show anyway.
Do one anyway. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I might do an hour show. Yeah.
There you go. An hour that turned to 2.
Okay.
All right, David. Thank you very much. I appreciate it as always.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right, guys. That was Dr. David King. And as you see, like I said, I've known him for a couple of years, so we got a little more banter than we have with some, with a lot of first time guests. But you know what? With many of those first time guests, I have no doubt in my mind that we'll be getting more of that banter going back and forth too. So, like I said, guys, coming up on our shows here tomorrow night, Lieutenant Governor candidate Ben Vogel. We have him coming up. May 3rd, we have Jonathan Wickman, who is also running for Lieutenant Governor. Lieutenant Governor here, another candidate. May 3rd, 7 p.m. Wednesday, we got David Burnham, 8 p.m., also running for Lieutenant Governor. Then May 5th, we have Karen Mueller, who's running for the Attorney General here in the state of Wisconsin on the Republican ticket. And then on May 11th, Jacob Vandenplas, he'll be on here and we'll be talking. He's the Libertarian candidate running for the 8th Congressional District. So we're got a lot of guests coming up here. If you want to be a part of this show here, if you want to join in and be a part of the, have a candidate or somebody who is a conservative influencer of some sort, bring them over here. Send them out my way. You can always hit them up here on the Facebook page, or you can hit us up on our website, thecaramelconservative.com. You can make sure you check that out. All our shows are broadcasted on there as well, in addition to being broadcasted on Spotify, iTunes, iTunes have podcasts, same thing, Google Podcasts, everything else. So I want to thank you guys for joining in here tonight. Thank you guys in the chat room. And until tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, good night. God bless you guys. God bless America. God bless Wisconsin. I'm out.